Salut à tous, on se retrouve ensemble pour découvrir une toute nouvelle série. Alors c'est un jeu qui est sorti il y a un petit peu maintenant, mais j'avais envie de vous le présenter. Ça s'appelle What Remains of Edith Finch.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house. I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
On peut interagir avec ça.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Désolé, on a un petit peu de retard. Hein. On peut les ouvrir. Alors c'est assez marrant. Hein, c'est avec la souris qu'on interagit.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Sous surveillance.
In her will, my mother left me a key but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back. No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Ouh. Jolie bête.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
C'est assez sympa, je trouve, les sous-titres intégrés comme ça.
The
Oh, dis donc,
house
la
was
maison.
exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it. As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
On peut utiliser notre clé là ou faire le tour. On va passer par
Crawling through the doggy door used to be
le
a
trou
lot
pour le
easier
chat.
when I was 11.
Ah, le chien. On peut customiser notre arme ici. Ah oui, non, c'est pas ce type de jeu.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
On a payé la
For the
facture.
first time in years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Pourquoi il y a autant de bouquins dans la cuisine?
Or how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Ah, mais c'est bien qu'il y ait un chat là-dedans.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like
Trop
a
de bouquins.
smile with too many teeth.
Trop de bouquins. Faire de la musique, non?
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house. My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
Ah. Le frère avait disparu.
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
De pouvoir monter. Ça, à chaque fois que je vois un truc comme ça me fait penser au film Gremlins.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Notre objectif, c'est de trouver la clé pour descendre au sous-sol.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes. I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Sympa le papier peint.
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
Ça va marcher ou pas? Bingo. Un milieu sous les mers.
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
C'est énorme.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan, but I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
Excellent. Je pourrais ressortir, non?
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Excellent. Alors ouais, peut sortir la petite.
I kept eating and eating.
Ah là là, le dentifrice. Oh.
I ate a lot of things that night.
Peut sortir ou va par là? Non.
Then I heard chirping outside my window.
Un
It was a
cuicui.
barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
Merde, c'est fermé.
And suddenly,
Oh!
I was a cat.
Excellent. Alors attends. On fait pas... Ah, on peut pas sauter. Bordel. Par où est-ce que je peux aller Ok.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
Ah, tu m'étonnes, un chat généralement, c'est fini mal pour l'oiseau, hein. Ok. Voilà, il y a un bouton d'interaction, c'est du coach. On va casser la gueule, je sens.
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Le bruit de la clochette. Circuit. Suivre l'oiseau bleu.
I jumped and I almost got her.
Le bruit du chat qui s'énerve.
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
Calmez-vous.
I gobbled her up,
Ah! Oh là là.
and suddenly I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Pour revenir en arrière.
Rabbits.
Je vais me taper l'éolienne tout à l'heure. Alors attends, des lapins. On va pas attaquer les lapins quand même. Oh là là, le bestiole. Faut que lapin qui leur voit ça. Hein.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit.
Il est où lui?
She was almost too big
C'est un génocide là. Hein.
I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
Pas trop fait pour évoluer. Attends, je suis complètement bloqué. Hein. Ok. Faut que j'aille à l'eau.
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted
Un
fat,
pauvre petit phoque. Hein.
juicy seeds. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Comme sûr. C'est tiré.
I grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Bordel, on est une pieuvre maintenant. J'ai pas l'impression que je peux avancer. Ah si, non. Plus un serpent.
Now I was a monster and I smelled people everywhere.
On a pu bien voir ce qu'il y avait décrit.
I was big and I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Ouvrir, ouais. Ah, on n'a pas eu le temps de lire. C'est trop rapide. Hein. Je fais pour grimper là-haut. Trouver le chemin.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have.
C'est dangereux de
so
pas
I
filer
swam
à
towards
manger à
it.
sa petite fille. Hein. Toujours avec son monstre.
I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Oh là là, on monte par les toilettes. Parce qu'on n'ira plus jamais aux toilettes de la même manière.
I got closer and closer.
On est de retour dans la maison. Petite fille. Sa chambre. Je vais pouvoir grimper ou pas? Non. Par où je peux passer là? Je grimpe. Là ça grimpe ou pas? Non, bloqué. Ah, faut aller sous le lit alors.
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
Eh ben, sacrée histoire, hein, cette petite fille. Hein.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure
C'était
Edie
l'histoire de
would have.
Molly. Le minou. Oula. On n'aille pas se péter une jambe.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Pas fumer à côté de ça. Hein.
Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
On peut faire bouger le truc ou pas? Non. Normalement on peut tourner le bordel pour changer l'image, mais là j'ai
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse.
trouvé les bonnes
His
touches.
wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Ok.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Encore des bottins. Ça c'est un truc pour les médicaments. Je crois par jour.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
C'est marrant les toilettes. Enfin la salle de bain.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Ah, faut utiliser notre clé encore.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Excellent. Atelier photo.
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Bon, depuis qu'on a joué à Medium, maintenant on sait comment développer des photos. Hein. La lumière, les trois bains, les temps. Bon, visiblement, il n'est pas question de faire des photos.
From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
Ah, parce qu'il croit que je vais retourner là-haut, ok. Excellent. Putain, la chambre en forme de cabane. Hein. J'ai l'impression qu'il n'y a rien à choper ici. Ils veulent qu'on sorte.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
Non, c'était
that
pas
he never
sortir.
talked about him.
C'était monter là-haut.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Oula. Commencez à avoir envie de gerber là.
Calvin, dinner's ready.
Coming! But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
C'est quoi le bruit qu'on entend là?
I told him going around was impossible.
Bon, je voulais m'arrêter, mais visiblement il veut continuer. Je le sens pas du tout, moi, cette affaire.
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
En VR, ça doit être un supplice, ce truc. Ah, putain.
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you
Oh,
again.
il va
Maybe
sauter.
if the wind hadn't picked up,
Oh là 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 là. Ouh là là, je le sens pas.
then maybe he'd still be here.
Oh bordel.
But I doubt it.
Hmm.
I think he'd already made up his mind.
Donnez-moi un sac.
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Ah, il a fait le tour. Oh là 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 là.
The day he made up his mind to fly.
Ah ah, excellentissime.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Chenille.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Je peux aller par là ou pas? Non, il y a plusieurs chemins. Ça va être fermé, non?
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Suivez le lapin blanc. Plus électrique, mais on peut pas.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother.
C'est là où on était.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Ok, ça c'est les pièces qu'on a visitées. Bon, on peut toujours aller là-bas. Hein. Ça on connaît. Je sais même plus si j'ai regardé là.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Bon, je crois que j'ai pas trop le choix. Moi que je redescende, mais...
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Une musique un peu inquiétante.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch.
Donc là, il a lu ce qu'il y avait tout en haut
As a
à
child
gauche.
star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room.
Ah là là.
So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box.
C'est à moi d'ouvrir.
And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Ça fait penser au jeu 13 là, le cel shading. Là. C'est marrant, on se balade dans la BD. Oh là.
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
Surtout le sang qui est... Bordel de merde.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
C'est fait exprès ça, hein, je pense.
Oh, the fridge rattled.
Oh là là. Il est dedans, découpé en petits morceaux.
Oh dear!
Quel abruti.
Rick?
Oh, il l'a mérité.
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter. The way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. She thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges grow.
Oh là là.
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
On saute dessus pour lui faire une descente du coude, non? Bon bah, ce qui est rassurant, c'est qu'il est pas mort.
The hookman had vanished.
Mm.
She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Ah, je dis ça si c'est mon pote qui s'est déguisé, mais... Sinon, c'est plutôt inquiétant.
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Il est rien. Ils sont plus jeunes.
Oh dear.
C'est dans la suite. Hein. Oh là là.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't prepare myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Ah.
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Eh bien, ça fait très conte de la crypte, hein.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be
Enfin,
remembered.
sacrée histoire,
As
hein,
absurd as
celle-là.
that comic was,
C'était quelque chose.
maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Pauvre Barbara. Si jeune. Il n'y avait rien d'autre ici. On entend le vent, mais il n'y a pas de...
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Super éclairé, hein. Pas mal, hein. Un sous-sol. On joue au billard. Dommage. Ah putain,
Mom said the basement
la
was off
fameuse
limits,
scie.
unless I wanted another tetanus shot. I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
Caisse. Donc on cherche des caisses.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
La bière.
It turned out she was hiding a lot
Putain.
more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories,
Putain, il y a assez... pour tenir un hiver nucléaire ici.
I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Petit train. Ah, belle histoire.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week.
1968.
But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on
1976,
the
putain.
other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just
2005.
stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
Je serais curieux d'avoir les plans complets
I
de
know
la
it's out
maison,
there
hein, avec tous les
somewhere.
passages.
Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin.
Petite poubelle.
Maybe this is all
Hola.
a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day.
C'est bizarre hein,
I
de
already
voir
imagine
le
the
jour.
sun on my face.
Le con. Écrasé.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Sacré Walter.
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
T'essayes de pas se faire écraser, hein?
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
Pas sentir la rose là-dedans.
Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem.
J'ai envie de rester au milieu. Hein.
Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Train. C'est marrant, il y a une espèce de petite plateforme là-haut.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of.
T'es allé dans l'eau ou pas, hein? Non. Ils veulent pas qu'on aille dans l'eau. Dommage. On s'est bien transformé en requin.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
C'est si on a joué avec le chat tout à l'heure. Oh là là, je joue que dalle. Pas sûr que c'est ici qu'il faut aller, hein. Ah putain, d'accord, ok. Je viens de comprendre.
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Putain, il y a du monde, hein.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Barbara Finch, Walter, Edie, Sven, Calvin, Molly.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
J'avais bien vu qu'il y avait une loupiote rouge là-bas.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Tu peux sauter ou pas? Est-ce qu'il faut grimper en haut? Est-ce que je peux regarder dans la loupiote là? Non. Ça, on n'a pas l'impression qu'on a gagné une interaction.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand.
Faut grimper,
But
ouais.
the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from.
Ah.
Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Je sens que c'est une connerie ça. Puis un chat. Hein.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both
De retour dans la
pretty
maison.
intense.
Cet endroit me parle pas.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Samy. Bizarre, les interactions.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These
So, yes,
memories
sir.
can last a lifetime.
Hmm? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are.
C'est excellent, hein. Si on prend le bon truc, hop, ça passe. C'est l'objectif, disons.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Encore autre chose à prendre. Non, visiblement c'est pas le bon truc. Qu'est-ce qu'il est que je prenne? Pourtant j'ai pris les oiseaux. Hein. Non, j'ai pris... putain.
Definitely should not
Ah.
have drunk all that coffee.
Il est en train de pisser.
Hold still while
Hey!
That's a keeper.
Ouais.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Je sais que c'était
Dawn,
pas ça, mais...
I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Facile de
To tell
faire
you
la
the
pointe
truth,
sur
I haven't been
celui-là.
out here in 20 years.
Circuit cuit.
Good eyes, Dawn.
Joli. C'est bon.
Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of it.
Dad,
Let me get behind you.
do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything.
Elle tire au moment où j'ai pris la photo. La pauvre.
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Ouais. Ah, je
Sorry,
suis...
Dawn. Just gotta reset the timer.
Ah ouais, c'est très bizarre en fait. En fait, avec les touches là, on bouge le père.
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
still...
normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about.
Dad!
Oh putain.
Of
Quelque
all
chose,
these
hein.
stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Putain. On va peut-être faire un petit tour avant de partir.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
C'est un chat. C'est dommage qu'il fasse aussi son. On peut profiter, il y a un petit écureuil en face. Alors, il y a une flèche, mais. Bon. Il y a une interaction là. Système de ventilation.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
C'est marrant, la chambre est communique. Non, 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 je veux pas, je veux pas retourner en arrière. Intrigué par la communication entre les deux zones. Là, juste une petite barrière. Grégory. Contrat de divorce. Chaque fois, putain, les interactions sont... Que le sens, c'est pas...
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Le gamin dans son...
I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Dans son bain. Le petit canard. Trop compris pour l'instant ce qu'il faut faire. Hein. D'accord, là on est le crapaud.
Hand over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello?
Pour faire le couillon.
Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
Ah, canards sont de retour.
I wonder what he saw.
Pas trop comprendre ce qu'a dit la mère. Hein.
He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw.
Faut aller chercher la... Grosse baleine ou pas? J'ai essayé de faire tomber les lettres. Non, on peut pas. Non, je peux pas trop sauter. Je sais pas de la baleine. À mon avis, il y a un truc à faire avec le du bain, mais non. J'ai le truc. Bizarre. C'est n'importe quoi. Ouais, on dirait que les canards m'aident à aller encore plus haut. Mais... Ah, ça y est.
Sure made him happy.
Putain. Ils veulent plus m'aider. Je peux monter dessus ou pas? Ok.
I worried about a baby being too happy.
On a été chercher du monde.
But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
Oups.
I know you did everything you could.
Fini la récré.
Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
Pour pouvoir actionner la flotte. C'est reparti. Peut-être arrêter le truc, non? Le gamin il va se noyer. Oh là là.
So much I don't understand. About Gregory. About everything.
Faut dégoupiller le truc si on veut pas crever.
He'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Pauvre petit bonhomme. Hein. Putain, c'est triste ça.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
Poème pour
A
Gus.
poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
C'est un cerf-volant. Ça me fait penser à une vidéo que j'ai vue sur internet où il y a une gamine qui est restée accrochée à un cerf-volant. Putain, elle s'est envolée la gamine. Alors comment ça fonctionne? On laisse... Ok. Alors je le dirige en fait. Hein. Ok. Ouais, faut choper toutes les écritures. Fallait le chercher l'autre là-haut, non? Jusqu'où je peux aller derrière. Ah. Il s'approche un peu dans les arbres.
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart.
Ok. Je me balade là où il y a des écritures pour le libérer.
I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom were the words that
Alors je me repositionne pour arriver à peu près à lire. Ok. Où est le prochain blabla? Ah, là il y a du...
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Le geste compris dans toutes les langues. Ensuite...
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
Ah.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
Ah la vache, les vagues au fond, on voit que ça... On voit que ça bouge, hein. Là la tente. Oh! Moi qui fout le bordel.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you. She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
J'avais pas tapé avec mon bâton dans un sac de frappe. C'est un truc d'escalade ça? Oh oh.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Petit bureau aussi.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Je peux pas interagir avec le bottin. Oula, ça c'est pour redescendre. Peut-être regarder par là avant.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English.
Si je fais ça, je redescends. Je peux monter ou descendre? Non, je peux pas descendre. Je pense qu'à un moment donné... Ce sera un point d'accès, un peu comme le couloir en fait. Je pense que c'est par la fenêtre la suite. On y retourne. Ce qui est bizarre, c'est que l'extérieur, ça me... J'ai l'impression de retourner là où j'étais, là où... Alors d'un autre côté,
Lewis
c'est
was
peut-être...
born a year later.
Est-ce que c'est là où je me suis baladé avec le chat? On est peut-être plus haut encore. Hein. Ouais. Peut-être
When my
plus haut.
dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Qu'est-ce que la
But it
normalité?
didn't last.
Méthode scientifique, observation, questionnement, recherche, hypothèse, expérimentation. Voilà, j'arrive pas à... Est-ce que c'est date? Conclusion. Ah non, data. Données.
The
Olé.
beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Est-ce qu'on peut voir Milton? Il est pas mort là.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
La musique du thème principal est très jolie. Je dois pouvoir rentrer par là. C'est des taches de quoi? Du sang? Je peux monter encore plus haut.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Brosse magique. Attends, il y a un truc à mon avis à faire. Ok. Excellent. Lui, c'était rapide, hein.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
C'est l'artiste du groupe, lui.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Fameuse porte. Ah, attends, il me semblait avoir vu une interaction avec. Non, je l'ai tellement espéré que... Non, ça veut pas. Bon, on va repasser par la fenêtre.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Pas de raison que ça change, hein. Je me souviens pas comment elle était cette porte, ouverte, fermée. Ah oui, non, c'est de là d'où on vient. Donc on va monter à l'étage.
Mom
Je me
definitely
souviens du
blamed
tableau.
Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room, except Lewis.
Oh, il y a un passage également. Ah oui d'accord, ok, le passage il donne sur un escalier qui s'est effondré. Donc c'est par ici qu'on va pouvoir rentrer.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Ça fumait, ça jouait. Ah là là. Il y a un air de la première PlayStation en termes de design quand même. Hein. Que ce soit la console avec les boutons, les embouts d'enclenchement de manette, ouais.
Lewis and I spent a
Très
lot of time
PlayStation.
playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Non, par contre, c'était pas des disquettes. Sympa aussi la petite musique type India. Légaliser la marijuana. Qu'est-ce qu'on a de beau là-dedans?
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse.
Oula oula, qu'est-ce qui lui
Newly
arrive à la main?
sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily
Ah
life.
oui, non, d'accord, ok. Fais attention à ta mimine, hein.
He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part.
J'ai peur pour sa main, hein.
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to...
Ah, quoi? Attends, je peux... Non, je fais pour... Ah oui, d'accord, je bouge le bonhomme avec les... Oh putain!
I asked him to
Oh, je le
describe
sens pas, le truc. Oh, je le sens pas. Alors, attends, par où on va
He
passer?
said he started small.
Ah oui, non, d'accord, je bouge... avec la souris... le bordel. Par contre... Ok.
Imagining a labyrinth.
Je sens bien que la main va y passer.
Feel his way about.
J'adore. J'adore.
Then something moved. Bats
Chauve-souris, oh là.
and toads.
Il crapote. Fais gaffe à ta main. Fred, fais gaffe à ta main. Putain.
And things that have not names.
Ça me rappelle
It was all in his head.
les défis de boisson dans... comment ça s'appelle Watch Dogs, le premier. Il y avait un truc où il fallait bouger la souris et les touches en même temps.
He took it very seriously.
C'était assez
I
ardos,
had
hein.
hoped he'd find himself.
Ceux qui se souviennent. Oh là, attention. Je peux passer là? Ok.
But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery.
Ah, il n'y a plus de poisson.
I
Je vais
spoke
trop
with his
vite.
boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on.
Tombe pas, mon garçon. Hein. Donc c'est bon.
I even encouraged. It seemed very promising at first.
Je me demande ce qui se passe si on
He
fait
told me
accumuler
he'd
trop de
made a
poissons.
new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Toby. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery, but his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished.
Ah, il faut monter, hein.
He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Bon, c'est vrai, j'ai gardé ma main. Ah, c'est peut-être pas terminé, hein.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on. In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a
De quel côté là?
handsome queen.
Choisi.
The queen was on her own quest for
Français, la rayonnant, sinistre serpent, non, on va.
radiant rainbows.
C'est rare qu'on ait un choix. Okay. Merde. Guitare électrique, ça harpe d'argent.
Silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
Non, on voit plus ce qui se passe.
He knew the world was all in his imagination.
Sent pas bon cette affaire.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than.
Ça y est, j'ai rattrapé mon retard.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. Began to forget the world we know.
Ah, du poisson.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
C'est lui qui va faire une crasse.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Ah, là on joue pas notre ami, on joue celui qui lui veut lui causer du tort.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
Ah, taille du chat.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Calico. Pourquoi il y a écrit Molly autour de son cou? Ah, j'ai l'impression d'être dans Shrek là.
His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
Louis soit le roi. Oh là, non, 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 mais pas ta main. Pas ta main, pas ta tête. Oh.
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Terrible, hein.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Un de plus. Grosse influence Logitech ce clavier. Alors, next.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
Prendre et comprendre. $90 ans. Quelle santé.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
Plein d'origami.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
the power had been
Dans
shut off that
l'entrée.
morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my
Le
mom
feu.
said the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Ah oui, puis c'est scellé bien quoi. Ah putain. Pas juste fermer la clé.
You're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight.
Ça peut éviter de crever. Hein.
We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought
On va pouvoir aller jusqu'à la lumière.
When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
Ok.
I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back
On
to
finit
them.
par arriver, bien.
Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go.
On va se déchirer.
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone.
Pauvre, c'est vraiment une famille
The
maudite.
last
Hein.
Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Yes. Son enfant. Eh ben sympa, hein. En tout cas moi j'ai trouvé très très fort le gameplay du jeu, la diversité, la manière dont les choses sont avancées, franchement c'est original, c'est sympa. Bon après c'est encore une fois c'est très différent de ce que je fais habituellement, même si ce type de jeu narratif j'en ai déjà fait, mais celui-là c'est vraiment une pépite, hein. Très agréable à parcourir. Très sympa.